this is something that Anika and I had discussed after we had you on, and we wanted to get into it with you today, which is that you're a very wealthy man, I guess, relatively speaking, compared to the average pleb like myself. Yeah, you know, you're a champion kickboxer, and you got your finger in a lot of pies, as they say. Well, one of those pies, I guess, is running cam model studios, meaning a sort of a pornography, which I've been, you know, for the last while, I've been saying, guys, you shouldn't watch porn at all. It's degenerate. It's immoral. You know, you shouldn't do that because it corrupts your mind. It'll make you like obsessed with sex, which will get you into other problems. So that's what I've been saying. And so I guess we felt a little bit like maybe we should have pressed you on this, on what you're doing.
I participate in the Western society, right? So I'm evil. So
no. What do you have to say for yourself, sir?
Okay, so this is an interesting topic because firstly, we need to make a very serious distinction between pornography and cam girls, and a porno actress and a cam girl. Now, I know a lot of people are thinking, no, they're the same thing, but they're absolutely not the same thing. And also, the people who are using the varying services are looking for very different things. So the person who goes on a porn website is looking to see sex and jack off. The person who goes on a cam girl website is looking for companionship. And the reason for this, they want to jack off. They want to see some titties. They want to see some titties, but they want companionship. That's why they pay $5 a minute.
That's using emotional manipulation, though, because these guys like
manipulation.
Yeah,
well, let me ask you a question. If a guy is intent on going on the internet and spending his money on cam girls, is the cam girl bad for taking the money? Because if she says no, another cam girl will say yes.
She should learn to code. She should get a job.
I'm asking. Okay, let's say an alcoholic. Let's say you're in an alcohol store. And an alcoholic walks in to buy a bottle of vodka.
Okay.
If you refuse him, he just buys it elsewhere. These are people who are hell-bent on giving their money away. They insist on giving their money away in return for companionship. They want a girl to know the name of their cat and to give a shit if they turn up each day. This is much closer to therapy than it is porn. And I'm telling you now, the cam girl industry has prevented a bunch of incel school shootings. It's prevented a whole ton of suicide. The cam girl industry is keeping a whole bunch of loser men alive. I'm telling you now. And
I understand
there's some tits involved. You have to understand that with men, we want tits involved in everything. I want tits involved in my car wash. Who gives a shit? There's tits. Yeah, there's tits. If I'm paying $5 a minute, you might as well give me some titties. But what it's really about is companionship. That's what the cam girl industry is about, whereas pornography is not. So they're completely different things to begin with. So when you look at it from that angle, the men are getting a connection. They're getting some kind of emotional support that they don't find elsewhere. Otherwise, there's no reason to pay for it because it's fucking expensive.
The reason they don't find it elsewhere is because like decay. Women are turning to that in order to support themselves.
That's why they don't find it elsewhere. They don't find it elsewhere because they're a door.
Okay, back in the day, people in their early 20s got married and they like had kids and they had families and they struggled. I've heard so many stories of people getting married young, living in a 1-bedroom apartment while they had their first kid, and they weren't able to afford a home for quite a while, but they still had a loving relationship and a family.
So are cam girls the reason that society's fucked, or is it just a symptom?
They're part of it. No, they're not the reason, but this is like an onion. It's a lot. There's a lot that goes into it, but
there's a lot going on. I mean, like Twitch shops are part of it too, right? Even the ones who aren't getting naked are doing the same thing. They just have a slightly different angle on it.
Society was broken.
Pretending to be wholesome.
I agree. Society
are just raping the symptom. They're just making money off of a broken system. And I
agree with that statement. Yes, I agree with that statement that they're exploiting a broken system. And I understand what it's like to be young and struggling and financially have no idea what your future holds, and to have somebody present an opportunity to you. But you have to make the decision. Do I want to live my 22-year-old life on this path, or do I want to, maybe I won't succeed and I won't own a home till in my 30s, but that's where my issue is with women.
Okay, so we have two ways to look at it. We have to look at it from the male perspective. So I've just explained why men go to cam girls in a very simple way. The very simple version is that they want someone to care about them. And also, there's a whole bunch of men out there which are extremely unrealistic. There's something else you have to keep in mind, is that a whole bunch of dudes they don't live in the real world in regards to their expectations of the kind of partner they can get. So they may be some fat, lazy sack of shit, but they want a 10. They don't want a 7. They want a 10. And the only way they're going to ever talk to a 10 is on a cam. That's how it is. So you have a whole bunch of guys who are unrealistic as well. Don't feel sorry for these men and think they're being exploited. They're full-grown adults making a choice.
I agree with that.
Cam girls.
Okay, you mentioned the alcohol.
I gotta say a couple of things here. I gotta respond to Andrew here. So what you said about the alcohol, like, first of all, I agree that there's a slightly different motivation, that it's more about having like a interaction that you wouldn't get with just watching porn video. That the guys want to feel like they're being seen by the girl, right? I get that. What you said about the alcohol, I get that there's a similarity in the sense that with alcohol, you're going to have people who are addicts. And in the same way with some guys who use cams are going to do it as a sort of like a little bit here and there. And there's going to be like a small percentage of guys who they give like all their money to the girl and they ruin their lives. So there's a similarity there. But there's also a difference for me, which is that I don't think drinking is inherently immoral. So if you drink a little bit, there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't think you should be like simping for cam girls at all, full stop. Like there's no like little bit amount where you're like, oh, I only do like $100 a month, 3 hours a month or whatever. It's like, well, you should be doing 0 as far as I'm concerned. So that's the difference for me between the cam girls and the alcohol store, where if somebody owns a liquor store, I'm not going to say they're ruining society or whatever, contributing to the decline, because, you know, people got to have some kind of outlet. Don't you think, though, that you, Andrew, as a guy with a presence, a vlogger, all this kind of stuff, you have the potential to be a role model for men, and I think you are in a lot of ways, but you're, you know, by telling guys it's that they can go use cam girls as a kind of therapy to feel better about themselves. Do you really think that that's helping them? Do you really think that's what those guys need?
I'm telling you why guys are doing it. I'm not advocating. I would never advocate anyone that I'm directly mentoring to go to cam girls. I would advocate for him to get a girl and put her on cam and make a bunch of money. That's what I do. That's what I do, and that's what I think every man can do. So
I thought you were a real estate investor.
Cam girls.
I mean, like dirt real estate, not skin real estate. I actually thought I didn't understand. I just assumed that you were a real estate investor when you came on, or that you had your hand in it, like a casino, stuff like that. It hadn't occurred to me that you ran cam girls till after the stream. And I saw one of your tweets about being a pimp, and I said, he keeps making references to being a pimp. Yeah. And then he's like,
really
like
the casino thing either, if I'm being honest. But
we can talk about that as well.
I would have wagged my finger at you.
It's less interesting to me because I think there's, you know, people, and this is sex wars, and people are interested in the relationships between men and women and where it's all gone wrong, why the dating market is so fucked up, why we got all these incels and MGTOWs and feminists and everything else. So I think this is more the topic that, and I probably personally, like, if I had to choose for you to be doing one of those things, I'd say the casino is probably, because it's sort of the same thing to me.
Just as many people, and they don't even get to see any tits. At least with the cam girls, they get something out of it, and they're still going broke.
Well, now with COVID, people are doing options. You're familiar with how stocks work, right, Andrew? Yeah. So now with Robinhood and the zero trades, people don't realize trading options is a zero-sum game, and they think, and they're short selling options, and they're losing they're losing their entire life. They're emptying out their Roth 401k because of COVID, and they're paying all these, they're not paying the penalties, but they're paying the taxes on their non-Roth IRAs and their non-Roth 401ks. I do this for a living, so this is why I'm using the example here, but they're doing this, they're fucking up their entire future. And that's what I feel like with especially the guys that are paying tens of thousands of dollars. It's one thing, I understand if you want to kind of, come on, I like expensive shit. I know how to spend money. But when you're going into debt, or when you're unable to move out of your parents' home because all of your money is going toward I more have an issue with the failing financially for your future. Like,
I want to make this very clear. I don't give a solitary fuck who goes broke speaking to a cam girl. That is their problem. Yeah. I'm an advocate. I'm an advocate for personal responsibility. And as a man, you are absolutely responsible for every decision you make in your life. If you come and talk to one of my girls and you spend a loan, which has happened, you get a $20,000 loan and you send it to her, and I put gas in my Lamborghini, you are a dickhead. And that's it. I'm not going to sit there and pretend I feel sorry for you. 1%. I have zero moral obligation to you as an individual. That is your decision. Now, cam girls are absolutely avoidable. You just have to simply not go on the website. For the same reason I don't feel sorry for alcoholics or drug addicts or gambling addicts, I don't feel sorry for you jackass that waste all this money on cam girls. Now,
but when somebody,
now and again,
Andrew,
then good. But I don't think I'm contributing to the moral degeneracy of the West. I think the West is already fucked. And as for the girl side of it, I think one of the best jobs a woman can have is be a cam girl. I have 19-year-old girls making $50,000 a month. No man's touching them. Not a single man touches them. I had a girl who worked for me who was a virgin. I have girls who work for me who are married with 3 kids. These are people who are completely not living degenerate lives. They're not in the club. They're not doing drugs. They're not fucking nobody. They're sitting there with their tits out on a computer. The only difference between her and a girl in a normal office is she has no bra on, and she gets paid 20 times the money. What the fuck?
Do you think you would marry a cam girl, Andrew?
Would I marry a cam girl?
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
Oh, come on.
Well, real quick, Andrew, don't your girls have your name tattooed on them?
20 girls have my name tattooed on them.
I saw a bunch of photos in my feed, and I saw that before I realized what you were doing. And I was like, how did he get these girls to get, maybe they're all related. That's what I thought. Oh, this is his cousin. This is his sister. They all got the family name.
Well, they're all
because they all have tape tattooed on them.
I'm all daddy.
So you would marry a cam girl and you would have children with her, and you would say to your kids, your mom, this is what your mom does to make her money, is she
100% yes. And I'll tell you why.
Cheeks on the internet.
When you've been exposed to the industry as much as I have, remember, I've done this for years and years and years. So when you're exposed to the industry like I have, you realize that the girl approaches it purely as a job. She isn't turned on. She isn't romantically interested in these dudes. For her, it is straight a job. And I'll tell you the number one thing that it does to a girl. The number one thing becoming a cam girl does to girls is it makes them have a disdain for men. Any girl who's a hoe, if she's camming long enough, will stop being a hoe. She doesn't want to talk to guys. She doesn't want a guy in her ear.
I've heard that quite a bit.
The most pure girl you're going to get is a girl who makes money from simply
I don't know about that.
Now, LP, I'm not saying it's a good thing, but I've heard that from multiple girls that have been involved in sex trades, it actually...
I heard that from your brother Tristan put a video on Twitter too saying that, which I thought was good. Yeah. But the part I don't know about is that you can't find a purer girl than one who's spreading her butt cheeks on the internet. Yeah. I say you go to church, you find yourself a nice Christian girl, a nice virgin, one who's never doesn't have any accounts on the internet.
Andrew will talk her into getting on camera.
I've been around the block, and let me tell you something. You give me a cam girl who is in my house, in a bedroom, 12 hours a day, at home, with no male interaction outside of men paying her money, any day over a fucking independent, strong-minded chick who's going to the bar every weekend, who's getting fucking flirted with by her manager at work, has fucked X amount of men you don't even know. A cam girl is at home making money, and she's loyal to you and you alone. 100% fact. All these girls are like, oh, I'd never be a cam girl. I'm out here and I'm this, I'm that. They're the ones who are sucking dicks in bars. Cam girls don't suck dicks for free.
Not all.
Cam girls don't do that. So give me a cam girl any day of the week. I've been around the block. I know the game. And I have women who work for me. I will say this now. I have women who work for me that have 10 times the moral fiber you will find in any Christian girl in any church in America. Guaranteed. Now,
hey man, I dated one cam girl and she was none of what and I only have one example personally, so it's anecdotal, but none of what you're saying lines up with the one girl who I had a brief liaison with. Okay. But maybe it's true. But let's talk about the other thing. Okay, you're saying you don't have a moral obligation. What about as a Christian, which I don't, let's get into this. Are you serious about that? Is it a joke? Your brother said the same thing on Twitter, which is part of why I was hoping to get him on. Are you a Christian now? Are you Orthodox? What's the deal?
I have a healthy respect for the Orthodox Church. And because of that, I visit the Orthodox Church. I don't think that believing in God is really that important in regards to respecting the institution and respecting the church as a whole and respecting the morals that they attempt to propagate. So that's what
you just go there to get cam girls.
So
Go there to shop for girls.
You're just going there to recruit girls, she's saying.
No, that's not how you recruit girls. We can talk about the recruitment. We can talk about as much as you want. You want to know how you recruit a cam girl?
No, hold on. We can come back to that, but okay, sure. Go ahead. How do you recruit a cam girl?
You find a girl with half a brain who's a waitress, and you say, "What the fuck are you doing this for? You can get paid 20 times more to come do that." And she'll say, "No, I'll feel bad, blah, blah, blah." And you'll say, "Look, you have a fake name, fake address. No one's going to know your real name. What's the problem?" And they'll go, "Oh, I'll try it, but I don't want to get naked." And you'll say, "Cool." And they'll try it, and a whole bunch of dudes will tell them they're beautiful and send them loads of money. And then they'll sit there and go, "What the fuck was I working a job for? This is amazing." And you say, "Yeah, I know." And bang, done. That's how you recruit cam girls.
So what you're saying, what you're telling young women is don't try it, not even once. Not even once.
What I'm saying is, it depends how you view the world. So I have a sister, and me and my sister don't get along. My sister's a lawyer. She lives in America. So my sister had a obligation. My sister was pissed off at my cam girl thing. And she was like, "Yeah, but why don't they want to blah, blah, blah?" I was like, "Look, you want to be a lawyer. You really, truly want to be a lawyer. You want to go into debt and waste your 20s to truly be a lawyer. Congratulations. I have 19-year-old chicks who speak no English who are going to out-earn you for the rest of your human life." So it depends. If you want to be something, fine. If you just want money, and trust me, there's a whole bunch of people out there who just want money. Most people working a job are not doing that job because they love said job. They just want money. If you just want money, who doesn't? Then a cam girl is a fantastic career path. It's an absolutely fantastic career path. There is no reason why you can't dedicate 5 years in your 20s as a girl and work hard under my instruction, because a woman can't do it without a man. That's the unspoken thing about this whole industry. Every single cam girl has a man behind her. This is the thing that's so interesting.
I do know that as well.
Yeah,
but
so
they all have a manager, same thing with prostitutes.
The
I'm
girls in the middle,
independent, but they're not.
Girls are in the middle of the sandwich. At the top, you have the men like me. We're in charge of the whole thing, really. So it's just a huge hierarchy of masculinity, really. But yeah, a woman with the correct instruction can make enough money to set herself up for life. And what's the downside? There's pictures of her tits under a fake name on some website nobody goes to. Who really gives a shit? You think I'm insecure enough to think, "Oh no, my wife, someone's seen her pixelated tits with a fake name. Oh
it's
no,
not
I'm devastated. I can't drive my Bugatti with my wife. Oh, this is so hard."
It's not that they're tits, it's the context. There's the fact that she's eliciting like the type of attention she has. It's like,
listen.
My doctor has seen me naked, but it wasn't in the context. It was getting a physical exam, or if you undergo surgery, that's not the same.
When I worked a normal job, there was more chicks sleeping with people they shouldn't have been sleeping with, managers and coworkers, than you'll ever see in any cam studio. I'd rather have my chick in my bedroom making money for me where I know where she is than in some job where every manager and every dude's hitting on her left, right, and center at the work party. I'm telling you, she is less chance to get fucked as a cam girl than any other job in the world.
Get a job with a good global HR.
Man, that's exactly what's wrong with the world, global HR. Now you're advocating for those psychos. It's the global HR that will tell you to pretend she's a dude.
Okay, Andrew, but what you said about you respect the Christian morals, like this is something I kind of like, I'm on sort of the same page as you, whereas I don't really have like the Christian faith where I really believe that there's necessarily something out there. But I really respect just the morals that they have. And I think that they've got it right in that regard. How do you reconcile that? I don't think, if you go talk to your Orthodox priest about running cam girl studios, you don't think he's going to have something to say about that?
I don't know. He might have something to say. But let's be honest. And that's what we're going to be, because I'm an honest individual. There's absolutely nobody out there who's religious who actually follows the tenets of the religion. Not a single person. So let's cut the shit now, because the only people who followed the tenets of a religion by the book were ISIS, and we saw what happened to them. So every single person is a hypocrite when it comes to religion. If you're religious, you're a hypocrite. So I've decided to be a hypocrite in some ways. Some people are hypocritical in other ways. Every single religious person is hypocritical to some degree. It's impossible to be religious and not be a hypocrite. That's the first thing. The second thing is, like I said, I have a healthy respect for the organization, I have a healthy respect. I would now label myself a Christian, but that's a lot less to do with belief and a far more to do with the fact that I think atheism is one of the driving forces behind the world insanity. It's almost like I just want to jump off the atheist team. I can't stand there any longer. Most people are not intelligent enough to be atheists. Like
That's my
I'm an atheist, and I didn't have to adopt any other religion. I didn't have to adopt some left-wing psycho crazy crap, but most of these people do. So for that reason, I don't want to be an atheist anymore. So I think I put it in the YouTube video. I have a few choices. It's Christianity. Islam's not that popular. Catholicism's weak. So I'm going with the Orthodox Church. I live in an Orthodox country, and I have respect for it. But yeah, I will happily take one of my cam girls to church, and we will pray together. And I'll walk her ass in there, and we'll stand in the church, and we will pray, and she'll go home, and she'll log on, and she'll make $10,000. If that makes me a hypocrite, then strike me down. So
I find your logic very difficult to fault in that regard. I think you're right. I don't think there is anybody who perfectly is a saint. If they were, they'd be a saint, and most people aren't saints. So it's hard for me to judge you or anything for doing stuff that anybody else would do anyways, or that everybody's breaking the rules in some regard. I think there's something to that. It's not like an excuse, but it's true.
Thank you. Thanks for my. But it's true. Like the Bible is that you cannot obey the Bible. It says to kill anyone who works on a Sunday. That's what it says. Like you can't comply with these books. They're too old. So everyone's a hypocritical to some degree. All my Muslim friends who during Ramadan are Muslim, they're in Dubai, partying up, sniffing.
I know Muslims who eat bacon and drink beer.
All religion now is hypocritical to a degree. Anyone who sits there and says I'm truly religious, if they really are, they're a psycho and they're living some Amish life, and they're not a person anyone really looks up to. So the whole thing's a hypocritical thing. My respect for Orthodox Christianity is the reason I say I'm a Christian. It's more out of respect than belief. It's nothing to do with really belief. It's just I have a respect for them. I have respect for I think they're trying to keep the moral fiber of society together. I really, and I'm not saying this because I run cam girls. I genuinely mean this. I really don't think I don't think the cam industry is degrading society. Not from what I've seen. I really don't believe that. Now
it's not helping.
Well, you'd say that.
The other concern that I have, like personally, is that these young women who the brain isn't fully developed until like age 25, and young women who maybe they are stuck with a lot of college debt. A pandemic happens and they're down on their luck and they don't want to have to go home to their parents, and they make a decision like that, seeing that there's money in that short term. And so they do something that they later regret.
This is good. This is interesting because I've heard this before.
No, but I'm telling you that this is why I have an issue with it. It's not so much the morality of it, or it's not the legality of it, any of that, because I'm a little libertarian when it comes to this stuff. But I just feel like it's not good for our society, especially for young women that may later regret it. And honestly, there's only so much money that I think that I am perfectly content making half as much money as I currently make. And I'm perfectly happy. But I want a retirement setup. But you only need so much money. You can only fly so many jets. You can only own so many handbags before you're like, okay, enough is enough.
I understand. I completely understand. And it's interesting you said this because I've heard this before. It's basically, and you're saying it in a much nicer way, but you're basically saying I'm the naivety of young women. Yeah, and I've heard this before. And like I said, I really, truly, genuinely am an advocate for personal responsibility. I'm such an advocate for personal responsibility. If someone were to come to me and say, I really want to kill myself, I'd say, bro, don't do that. No, I really want to. I'm like, okay, well, don't make a mess. What the fuck you want me to do? Like, I got shit to do. Like, that's who I am as a person. So if you're a man and you want to spend your money on cam girls, good. If I come up to you and say, look, you can be a cam girl, and you decide to do it, good. If you don't decide to do it, good. No one's forcing anybody to do anything. I believe in personal responsibility and people to make their own choices. I think if I, and I'll say this right here, right now on video. If I had a daughter and she said, look, I'm going to be a cam girl, I'm going to spend 12 hours a day on the internet getting rich.
No, Andrew,
I would prefer that than her in some fucking college sorority, wasting her time, snorting coke, getting fucked left, right, and center. And I mean that genuinely. At least there's an end goal to it all. At least financial stability. At least there's something to it. Most of the girls out here are bigger hoes than cam girls for free. They're the idiots. If you're going to be a hoe, get paid. Like if you really don't want to be a cam girl, but you also are genuinely not a hoe, then fine. I have nothing.
Yeah, that's my
solution. I don't like. I would never be a cam girl, and then you're gonna sleep with 25 dudes. Then you're an idiot. Then you're just. And that's what a lot of girls are. They're fucking stupid.
I understand your logic. I understand what you're saying, but my solution would be don't be a hoe.
Okay, yeah, good. Well, if you can solve the scourge of false adultery, then go for it, Anika. But I don't think you're going to stop that. I don't think you can stop women acting like hoes anymore. Society, you're trying to fight a societal system, which is it's impossible for a woman to basically not. You get the odd good one, of course, but I'm saying in general, most Western women in Western countries are going to be very sexually liberated, and they're going to sleep with lots of men. That's pretty much a given, and there's nothing you can do about that. And my point is, if you're going to have that kind of attitude towards life, then why not get paid? Why do it for free? That's stupid.
Well, see, now I would say that that's why we need a less tolerant attitude. Because if you say that it's okay for people to go out and spend their money on that, then you're part of the problem. And it's like it is the vast majority of people who are like this, who say, yeah, everybody watches porn. It's no big deal, this and that. But that's part of the problem. If more people said, actually, you shouldn't do that shit. You should respect yourself more, and you should care more about your personal dignity, etc., your self-respect. You know, that's the only way to we got to fight this somehow. We got to do something. The only thing I can do is say this is wrong. I don't agree with this.
Hey,
I presume, Andrew, that your views on FGM, things like that I presume that you're against that, given other views that you've had. I presume that sexual assault and violence against women and children, you view that to be wrong, right? There are countries where that is not illegal.
Of course.
So just to say that it's the norm, like look at India and look at, throughout East Africa, there's a lot of places in the world that really bad shit happens and the victim is always at fault.
Okay.
If it's a woman.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it right. Like just because our the West is fucked doesn't mean that's like good for it to be fucked.
Listen,
we need some decorum. We need civility.
Okay, I understand. My point is this: if all the cam girls disappeared today, all you would have is more lonely, desperate, dangerous men. Women would still be hoes. That's all that would change.
I need to see actual numbers on that. I understand that if a man being able to relieve himself could, but those are psychotic men.
I'm not talking about relief himself.
I agree with that. I don't think cam girls are the linchpin that are holding society together or making it fall apart. So I agree with you. They're not that important in the grand scheme of things.
In the world combined.
I don't think lack of sex turns non-violent men into violent men. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't think a lack of sex, I don't think that a normal guy is going to go out and rape just because he can't get laid. I think only a rapist, only a person who has the propensity to be violent towards women would do that under those circumstances.
The most dangerous man in the world is a man with no access to females. That's the most dangerous man in the world.
Yeah, that's where you get
terrible. Every school shooter, every fucking mass murderer, these are all dudes who have no access to females. And I'm not talking about just sex because they can jerk off. I'm talking about an emotional connection with females. If you take a man and he has zero emotional connection to any female on earth, he is a dangerous man. There's something biological about you as an individual, as a man. Women soften men. I can tell you this. As an individual. So I recently had my testosterone level tested because I was curious. And they said, yeah, I know. And they said, we think there's something wrong with your adrenal gland. I was like, why? She goes, because you've got 4 times the natural testosterone level. And we can tell you're not taking steroids, but there's something wrong with your adrenal gland. It's overproducing testosterone, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, what's the problem? And they said, okay, well, it's going to make you irritable and you're going to have a lot of cortisol in your blood and a bunch of things.
And your hair fall out.
I don't care. Anyway, yeah, I lose my hair. Anyway, the point is, women soften as an individual. So when I was fighting, I didn't like women around me in general. Because all I wanted to do was kill. I couldn't stand women. When I have a whole bunch of cam girls around me, I'm chill. I'm a cool guy. Women soften men. If you take men and they have zero female interaction, they become dangerous. You're saying that cam girls aren't the linchpin. I'm telling you that female cam girls have prevented more male suicide than all of the therapists in the world combined. They prevented more male homicide than all the therapists in the world combined.
They're digital.
Andrew. There are men out there. The only reason they're not dead is because there's a cam girl waiting for them to log in. That is the truth. And when they log in,
there's
and he puts a big smile on his fucking sad face. It is a genuinely therapeutic industry.
Like, I agree with you that yes, women soften men, and that yes, having somebody scratch your back every morning and whisper in your ear how much they love you. I understand that. They found that after a man has a baby, right after the baby is born, his testosterone dips, so that he is more like soft and kind and gentle around the baby. But these are digital women. There's no smell, there's no pheromones, there's no cuddling, there's no hair.
Still works.
They're pictures.
Still works.
Really?
Hey, don't come to me with that. They are pictures, but it still works.
These men need a digital therapist. They need somebody they can log on, they can talk to, they can kind of vent to. But you're mixing. So this is the other problem. You're mixing the sex, the titties. It's almost like with the Pavlovian response. Okay. Now the person that they're talking to and that they're able to kind of let their feelings out, they're associating with jerking off. So how are these men going to go on and have a healthy way of expressing their, I'm being serious.
Men associate everything with fucking sex anyway. You're talking about men jerking off. Look at the guy who just got caught on Zoom in the middle of a fucking work meeting. He started jerking off.
Tubin, Jeremy Tubin. Yeah,
that's
I was jerking off to one of your cam models. Andrew, he was jerking off to your cam model. He wasn't jerking off to work.
I wish he was, because I need to get paid. I just bought a Bugatti and it was expensive, and I need another one. So
let me ask you this, Andrew, because I've read about cam girls and like some of the problems and regrets they've had. One of the things that I've read and is that some of these men they're not just lonely guys. They're really
weird,
disgusting perverts. And they get off on making the girl do something that she's not comfortable with. That gives them like some kind of like power trip or whatever it is. So they're always trying to push the boundaries.
They can't make her though.
And that can be psychologically damaging to the girl.
But then the girl has a bad pimp. Then the girl has a bad pimp. I use the word, and I use pimp. And when I say pimp, I mean positively inspirational and motivating person. Because that is your job as a pimp, is to motivate and inspire. It's not your job to enslave. But let me just quickly make this point. Pimp is not a negative term.
Manager.
So this is the first
cheerleader / manager.
Say again? Manager. No,
you're a cheerleader / manager.
Exactly.
You say good game and slap them on the ass.
To you and she's having problems with guys making her uncomfortable.
I'll fix it. Because this is the thing. She has a bad pimp. So let's say a guy comes to one of my girls and he wants something she's not prepared to do. She'll say, oh, wow, I've never heard that before. What makes you like something like that? And he'll say, blah, blah, blah. And she'll go, oh, I don't know. I'm kind of curious, but I wouldn't do it unless I got to know someone. And he'll be like, oh, I really want it. Okay, well, if you join my private members club, we can talk, boom, 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 money, 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 money. He never gets what he wants. He just gets fleeced. None of my girls do anything bad. I have a girl who works for me who paints pictures. She sits in a bikini and paints pictures and auctions them off. And she's making $100,000 a month. She doesn't even get her tits out. Like, you don't understand the industry. It's a big fucking famoose. It's nothing to do with sex.
Back up. She doesn't even show her boobs.
No, she paints pictures and raffles them. And she has a raffle, and people buy raffle tickets. And at the end of the month, she chooses someone for the picture, and she makes crazy money because she's very talented.
She doesn't do anything sexual?
Nope, nothing.
I can believe it. This is what I was saying about the Twitch girls. It's the same idea, right? They're just playing video games or whatever it is, and there's.
It's weird to me that guys would pay that amount. Like I know there's fetishes out there. I know I've seen like the chubby chasers, the cake people, the feet, whatever. There's all these weird fetishes that I can't imagine that somebody would have. And I understand people maybe wanting to see an attractive woman in a bikini paint a picture, but to make that amount of money doing it?
Yeah, but this is the thing. But this is the thing. So one, she's very talented.
And I think they're fully dressed and read from the Bible.
Hey, you can
fully
try
dressed.
You probably a guy that's like that.
If you show your feet while you're doing it,
go for it.
What?
If you show your feet.
I can't show feet. No.
This goes to show how good of a pimp I am. See, I'm getting it.
Yeah. fully dressed with no sexual, not
No
saying
sexual-
anything
no,
sexual.
Oh, he said she wears a
No.
bikini.
She wears a bikini.
No, I wouldn't
Yeah.
do that.
But here's
No,
the thing.
I wouldn't do that.
So what webcamming is effectively just a YouTube channel. You have your YouTube channel and you have huge competition and you need to drive traffic to your channel. Now, how you do that is completely up to you. Sex is one way you can do it, but not every girl uses sex as a method. And most of the girls, the good girls who do use sex as a method, they only get naked once every 4 or 5 days. So let's say my best girl, for example, my best girl, she works 6 days a week. She has a weekly total that has to be reached before her to get naked. So she won't get naked for less than 30 or 40 grand. Like, it's big money. It's big money in the game. But this is only because the girls are working for me and I'm the best of the best. Some of my girls are the best in the world. So you're confusing what I do with these low-level girls in Brazil who are sucking dick for $2 an hour. Well, they're idiots. Like any industry, they're being exploited. Like any industry in the world, they're being exploited because they don't have serious knowledge and serious brain power. All my girls are smart girls. I have girls who work for me who aren't even hot, but they're smart. And I've had girls who work for me who are beautiful, but they're stupid. My girls don't make money based on how they look. It's a smart person's game. You got to remember 50 dudes' names. You got to be conversational. You got to be able to laugh and have jokes. You got to talk fucking politics, all this shit. So
but they don't speak English?
It's like a YouTuber. That's the game of it. That's the whole thing. So I'm at the top level. Yeah, there are some stupid bitches in Brazil who are sucking dick for $2 tips. Well, then they're just morons.
I do see a big difference between being a webcam girl and being someone who touches and, because just the risk. I understand there's a difference there. I'm not saying being a webcam girl is right or righteous.
I think like a lot of the OnlyFans girls do that, right? Like they'll go out and
so
have
if I
Tinder
sit
dates
fully
every
dressed,
week
reading
and
from the
film
Bible,
their
I'll
sex.
make money.
It depends how many men you can.
Fully dressed.
It depends
I
how
won't
many
be
men you
sexy.
can. It depends how many men you can get in your room, and it depends how you can inspire them to tip. So you have to do something that's going to inspire them to tip. Say again?
Wholesomeness. I'll read them like from the tenets of Taoism. Like,
do it.
Yeah, completely dressed. I won't manipulate them. I won't be sexual. I'll be nice. I'll remember their names.
Yeah, there you go. See, that's it. So do it. Go for it.
I'll read from any religious text they desire.
There you go. Then so there you go. They tip you, and you can change book. They can convince you to go to X, Y, or Z.
Yeah. Oh yeah, less spam. I would read from the Bible completely dressed if somebody wanted to pay me to. I mean, I read stock quotes right now completely dressed.
See?
I make money with my clothes on now. I might as well make money with my clothes on being religious. That's the thing though. If
Andrew's
I don't believe
game is way too strong. I brought him on here to admonish him, to try to get him on the path to the light, and here he is signing up Anika as a cam girl. That's not right.
I've been in the game a while.
No nudity. No sexual content. I would not sexualize myself for money. Just to clarify that.
But to give you something to argue about, because we've talked about the cam thing, then maybe one of the things that upsets people is the apparatus behind the cam, where I have all these girls who obey me and adore me, and I sleep with 80% of them. And does that offend you if I have 10 girls in the house?
I don't have a problem with that if it's consensual, and it seems to be. I say to each their own when it comes to that stuff. From what
I want you to get married, Andrew. Find one nice girl, make children. When you have a daughter and you have like a 4-year-old daughter and she's the light of your life, then I want you to come back to me and tell me if you'll be cool with her being a cam girl.
Okay, let me ask you this. What would you say if I said I already have 5 children and 3 of them are daughters? What would you say?
I guess I would stand corrected, I guess. Is that the case? Are you saying that?
Congratulations. That's what I would say.
I'm saying, because there's certain things.
Do you have car seats for your Bugatti?
Say again?
Do you have car seats for your Bugatti?
No, because, and this is the exact point. We can slightly diverse here, but the idea of the traditionally married life, to me, and I do not mean this in a disrespectful way to anyone, to me sounds torturous, because I do not see the action that I require in my life. I require constant action. I want to be with my brother.
But you're not normal.
Boys, And
You're not
I want to have
normal.
kids, but if I have kids with a woman, it's going to be very much like, okay, we've had a child. You're financially secure now. I'll see you when I see the kid. Cool, I'm off. Bye. Drive to
Andrew, you have 4 times the normal testosterone level. Well, I'm talking about normal men, not you.
Yeah,
Like that,
cool.
your lifestyle doesn't work because if enough men did what you do right now, we'd have more ISIS. Because one of the reasons those men can't find women is because men have a cock.
Correct. Completely correct. You know, when you're at the top of the food chain, it's just, it's different for me.
But we can't
that's the
have
lifestyle
that
I'm
with
living.
330 million people, which is how many are in America. We can't have that or we're going to have a lot more incel.
Hey, absolutely. But that's whose choice is that my fault or women's fault? They could go find a nice, loyal little man. Instead, they want Mr. Tate to see him once every 2 weeks. Why is that? Why would they decide to share me as opposed to have a nice, loyal, little happy dude? Why would you? And I say, what would you rather have? A Lamborghini that works 3 days a week?
I'd rather have
or
loyalty.
a push bike?
I'd rather live in the forest in a small house and drink water from a creek and have loyalty than ride in a Bugatti.
You are a particularly moral individual, Anika.
No, I think it's that I learned at a young enough age that I started on the materialism path once I started making money, and I realized that there was absolutely nothing fulfilling about it. It's just more shit you have to insure. It's more it's just you have more square footage you have to purchase.
Yep.
You have more things that you're afraid of if your home gets, you know, either broken into or caught on fire. And I realized that I think I could do the van life if I had to.
Good.
I just need enough to.
Hey, I'm not saying money is the be all and end all. I'm not saying money is the be all and end all of life.
I say this as I'm buying a brand new massive house in a community, you know, that's buying a very expensive home in a very expensive area. But I know that I don't need that.
Hey, completely. I'm not saying money is the be all and end all of life. My point is that even if I was completely broke, my life choices would be the same. And my life choices would never be, here's me and my wife and my kids, and I sit at home. That's not, I will never do that. I will never do that. And the reason I'll never do that, and I'm not shitting on people who do. I'm not shitting on people who do. I will never do that because I don't want to. And I live a life where I do what I want. And I don't see the adventure in that life. And I require constant action and adventure in my life. The only reason I like money is because I need constant stimulation. I gave up world level combat and I gave that up to try and replicate it. So I need to jump out of planes and drive supercars and spend $50,000 a night and travel around the world in private jets. That's what I want to do. If I don't do that, I'm bored. And it's not the end of the world to be bored, but I don't want to be bored. I want to be excited.
Do you need a financial advisor?
No, I don't, because I spend all my money. But it's fine because cam girls make me $500,000 a month, so I ain't got to worry about it. So this is the life I want to live. And my point is that no matter how many kids I have, or no matter how perfect a woman I meet, I'm never, ever, ever, ever going to change, ever. And they know that. And they know that, but they will still sit there and think he's big, tall, strong, rich. He's got a genius IQ. He's going to look after me and my kid. I'm going to drive a Bentley. Fuck it. And they'll still choose me over fucking Joe Schmo. And that's their decision. And they'll tattoo my name on them and they'll have a kid. If I so decide. If I say we're having a kid, I've never had a woman say no to me. I could meet a woman on the second date and say we're having a kid and she'll say yes. Every single fucking time. This is like, of course, pull up in the Lambo. Come on. It's like, this is how it is. So this is the females.
Well, no, Tate, I am not accepting your offer to have your child right now. You can say one woman is refused. One woman in a country that I'll probably never fly to has refused. I have refused your offer, Andrew.
Oh, that's a shame.
I draw the line.
That's a shame. But yeah, that's my point. My point is I'm never going to change.
You had a good relationship with your dad, right? I know you talked about stuff from your childhood growing up and that you don't have any desire to keep that cycle going for yourself and your own children.
I absolutely do have that desire. But the reason I speak so highly of my father is twofold. Firstly, a father's potency is not based on how often he's around. Unlike a mother's. A mother is there full time to provide the necessities for life. You need somewhere to sleep, you need food, you need warmth, you need to make sure you don't put your finger in the plug socket. That's all woman shit. A man's job is to be enough of an impact on a young son that he enlightens him to the truths of masculinity. That doesn't require an everyday presence. I saw my dad once a month. Once a month he'd turn up. But he was such an overwhelming force of nature that he taught me everything I needed to be taught. He wasn't there every day. Now, I would actually argue that the reason I am the way I am and the reason my father was so fantastic is because he wasn't there all the time. I never saw my mom tell my dad to clean the dishes. I never saw him take shit from my mom ever. If she stepped to him even 1%, he was like, bitch, see you next month. I'm out. She was crying her eyes out and he just fucking vanished on her because that's who he was. So I grew up understanding a man doesn't compromise. That's how I understood masculinity. So if I have sons, I can turn up once a month, and they're going to be fantastic men because I don't need to be there every day listening to my wife complain about the towels from IKEA. I don't need to do that. What I need to be is turn up as a force of nature. Whoa, dad's turned up. Fuck. Oh my God, mom's crying. He has 10 bitches in his Lambo. Shit, he's a world champion fighter. I better go fight like dad. Boom. That's how you make super soldier sons. You don't need to be there all the time. A father can be a fantastic father part-time. And they have to be dedicated to their child and they have to be an exceptional individual. But the idea that you need to be a full-time father to be good at being a father is a fallacy. That's false. Full-time is for mothers. That's their job. I got shit to do. I turn up when
Historically, if you go back far enough, men weren't in the home all day. They were off killing things. They were going on 2 and 3 week hunting trips and such to feed the family. So exactly. I agree that a man doesn't have to be around all the time and it's more about the quality, not the quantity. But I agree that maybe you turned out the way you did because of your childhood situation. But I think maybe you should see a therapist about that.
You know, I've spoken to a lot of therapists.
I believe that. You probably kind of freak them out, don't you?
Well, the thing is, the problem the therapists have with me is I'm smarter than all of them. So they struggle.
You do strike me as being extremely high IQ.
Yeah, and it's hard to argue with me. So they struggle with their.
You turned me into a cam girl. So.
They struggle with their pseudoscience when they try and apply it to me. So. Like a few times I've met them for various TV shows, and you have to go through a psychoanalysis, et cetera, et cetera. I make it very, very clear that their science isn't exact and that it's pseudoscience and that it's based on general rules. And they always basically agree. I mean, it's hard to argue against that. I've had a few try and argue it. And I said, look, there's people who don't drink alcohol because their father was an alcoholic. And there's people who are alcoholics because their father was an alcoholic.
I agree with all your facts.
With different endings from the same scenario. So it's a pseudoscience. And what they will then say is, yes, there's general rules. And then I'll make it very, very clear that I'm not a general individual. I'm an exceptional individual with exceptional capability and genetic gifts, with exceptional physical accolades, exceptional IQ. So none of your general rules apply to me. So who gives a fuck what you say? And then they sit there stumped. And that's the end of the fucking conversation. Because they're all jackasses talking to fucking norms. And I'm not a norm. So who gives a shit what they think about me? And I'm smarter than them. And they sit there and they just sit silent and write things on a piece of paper. And they probably write bad things about me. And that's the end of the conversation. What can they say? What can you say about a person who is, as much as I understand, as jarring as I am, there's a whole bunch of people in the chat who don't like me. I completely get it. I'm not socially inept. I understand how dislikable I am. But I also understand that I am exceptionally successful. Every single thing I've ever attempted, I've become exceptional at. And I'm not just talking about a few things. I became the best kickboxer on earth. I became a 4-time kickboxing world champion. I came from nothing, a council estate with no money to a multi-millionaire. And there's nothing I've ever attempted and I've failed in my life ever. So I understand how I come across as jarring, but you also have to understand when you live that human existence, you're gonna have a bit of a fucking ego. And my ego is one of my greatest powers, my greatest strength. I don't doubt myself. Ever. If the Titanic is sinking, I'm not worried about the cold water. I'm not going to die. I will swim. Fuck you. I'll see you on the
fucking Genghis Khan.
That is me. So
I think it's that you live in the wrong time. Because I mean, if you think about it, LP, to his argument, if he lived a few hundred years ago, he would be revered as a hero. He would be a king. And
well, I'm sure there are people who feel that way about him now. And I personally, I find it very difficult to argue with him too. Even if, like for me, I couldn't.
You want to start an
I have to try to live within my own morals. But he makes really good arguments, you know. And I gotta say, I always know when we have Andrew on that we're going to get some good sound clips for the next intro that I put together. I think we definitely got some of those. We got a $10 donation on Streamlabs from Quebec.
So I'm already a cam girl is what you're saying.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
I'm just sitting here talking. Yeah, one of the best lines that threw me off was one of yours. It was if women were happy living in trees.
Right. Yeah, we use that in other intros.
Yeah, that was a really good line. I mean, it was accurate. It was. I didn't expect you to say it though. Most people.
This is the thing, and this is what's kind of amazing to me, is that a lot of people don't understand that females do own and control and run the world. I get constantly accused.
I agree.
Constantly accused of being this patriarchal, horrible exploiter or whatever. All I do is I offer females occupation, which some of them agree and some of them don't agree. That's it. If I have lots of women who decide to sleep with me, that's me using female nature against females. This is all females who are in charge of everything. And pussy runs the world. Absolutely everything a man does is aimed at pussy.
It's a carrot.
Every single thing a man does.
Buildings getting built. I've heard all these arguments from.
Yeah, so if women didn't want men to be a bunch of simps, then all they have to do is stop sleeping with simps. But they won't. So the simps obviously get some pussy here and there, because if they really had to man up to get laid, they would. So it's women who are in charge of the entire decline of morality, because women are sleeping with dorkhead dude. You know what? I'll give you an example. I'll give you a perfect example. In London, which is off the chain with stabbings now. London's crazy with stabbings. All these stabbings are going around on Snapchat. Snapchat's a social media, and all these gangs are Snapchatting and stabbing everyone. That's why they had 15,000 stabbings last year or something. Look it up. It's crazy. But the reason the guys are doing it are for clout. What do they need clout for? Pussy. So what stupid bitch is fucking the dude who stabs the most? This just all this shit. Every single thing is based down to pussy. It's all women's fault. It's all your fault.
I think the incels would agree with you on this. We had a last week.
You mean wait? So are they doing it?
Good Christian men. It's all your fault. How can I, as a clear scumbag, walk into a club, getting out my Lambo with 5 other women around me, and still walk out with a new woman? How can I possibly do that? Women should know better. They should know better. You're terrible negotiators. It's all females' fault. If women only step with good Christian men, there'd only be good Christian men. I am a product. Of the female sexual imperative for wanting high testosterone, rich, dangerous individuals. It's not my fault. So I blame
there's another sound clip right there. All right. We're coming up on time. I got to make my other video today. Let me read this one super chat we got. Quebec01 says, if you are starting with a libertarian ideology, you will not have the foundation to argue against pimps and prostitutes. When you're starting with premises of tolerance and a childish idea of freedom, it makes it impossible to have standards. I more or less agree with that, which is why I'm not that libertarian anymore.
That's why I said the libertarian side of me. My problem is
conservatism for the win.
But I always get thrown in with pimps and prostitutes, and although I call myself a pimp, I want to make it clear: my girls have had incredible offers for sex, $100,000, $200,000, and even if the girl would do it, which they wouldn't, I would never let my girl sleep with a man for sex.
So that's where you're. So you do have a line that you draw.
Because then it goes into the real world. Okay, if I load up Call of Duty and shoot a bunch of people, is that different than walking down the street with a gun and shooting a bunch of people? One of them's digital and is false. One of them's based on a fallacy, a fake name and a fake location and a fake everything. And one of them's the real world. So I draw the line at the real world. So I don't know why I'm constantly thrown in with, oh, you all have all these hookers. My girls just sleep with one man and one man only. Andrew Tate. That's it. They don't sleep with nobody else. No other man touches them. No other man talks to them for free. If you want to talk to my girl, if you want to DM her, you're going to end up on her OnlyFans. You don't get to talk to my girls, nothing. My girls are the most loyal females on earth. They are dedicated to me and me only. My name's tattooed all over them. So there's nothing to do with the prostitution thing. I only say pimp because pimp is an easy way for me to explain that I am in control of women and women obey me and I give them the support they need to be successful. Because let me tell you one more thing. It doesn't matter if a woman wants to be a cam girl, doesn't matter if she wants to be a homemaker, doesn't matter if she wants to be a career woman. If there's not a man in charge of that process, she's going to fuck it up. No matter what she wants to do, she needs a man in charge. Regardless of whether it's a cam girl, it's a lawyer, it's a homemaker, there has to be a man telling her ass what to do. Because without instruction, she's headed for self-destruction. Every single one, regardless of path. So there's always a man in charge for a woman to be successful in any field, including the cam industry. So my females obey me, otherwise they couldn't be cam girls. There is no cam girl without me. They can't do it without me. They need me. I am the fucking brains behind all of this. They can't do shit without me.
All right, I'll just say again, the official position of the channel is that women deserve rights. That's our official. We recognize Andrew's right to express himself and his opinions, but officially, we think women have the right to, lead their own lives, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
If they consensually commit to that relationship, then I have no problem with it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Of course they consensually commit.
I know, but that, just so you know, there's a lot of these relationships where the guy gets the girl into it and she's not really consenting.
Hey, no, let's talk about this. Before we go on,
Oh God.
I want to talk about this.
And
Because
another thing.
Let me tell you something about the world. And let me tell you something about women. First things first, you cannot force somebody to do something they don't want to do for a prolonged period of time. Every single girl who works for me wants to work for me. I'm barely home. I'm traveling the world. There's nothing stopping them packing up and walking out. So the idea that women often talk about coerced or forced, you weren't forced to do shit. You chose to do something. And then now you regret it. You're going to pretend you didn't have a choice. You always had a fucking choice. You could have left that abusive man a long time ago, but you didn't because you were addicted to the attention. And now you want to leave. And now you're going to pretend you've never had a chance in 15 years to walk out the door. That's bullshit. So that's the first thing. I don't believe in this whole forced, coerced crap. All of my girls work for me because they want to. It is their choice. In fact, most of them are worried about me firing them because I am militant. You piss me off 1%, you're out the door. So they're begging not to get fired, let alone fucking trying to be tricked into camming. That's the first thing. That's complete shit that can get thrown out the window. Second thing with women. Women retrospectively change their view on scenarios. I'll give you an example. I knew a girl who was exceptionally pretty. She was from Moldova. She married a prince in Dubai. She went to Dubai. I was there with her. I've known her for a while. She married this prince. I spoke to her. I said, how is it? She goes, oh, it's amazing. She sent me a picture of her with the tigers. I'm living with these tigers and I get to stay in the house and I drive his McLaren and my life is great and blah, we're going to have kids soon, da, 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 da. And I'd say, oh, like, so what's it? Is he there much? She's like, no, he's not here. He's always away working. He has royal duties, blah, blah, blah. I spoke to her again 6 months later. She goes, oh, I'm miserable. It turns out he wasn't working. He's sleeping with all these other girls. I'm like, what the fuck? He's a prince. What do you think he's doing? You think he was loyal to you, you bimbo? Anyway, the point is, then she started saying, I feel like I'm a prisoner. I can't go anywhere. So her perfect dream life, the same scenario changed based on her feelings for the man. It went from the perfect setup to a prison based on her personal feelings for the man. And this is the problem with women. And this is why it's so dangerous to be a man nowadays. Because in my scenario, I can have a girl who works for me, who's in love with me and enjoy everything. And as soon as she finds out I don't want to be with her in a long-term way, or I sleep with another girl, or she gets jealous, then she can sit and say, he forced me, and they will change. Women do this shit. But I'm 10 steps ahead of the gangs and the smartest motherfucker. I've been around for a long time, so I know what women do. But this is what women do. I've never coerced a female to do anything. I've offered an opportunity and they decided to do it. And in my history, across the 75 girls who've worked for me, I've only ever had one girl who turned on me that way. One girl who turned and tried to say that I tricked her. One tried it, but they will try it if they don't like you anymore. So this is why female testimony holds precisely zero value. Zero. You cannot trust
yeah, not the official I hypocrite position. But what about like if a girl went to the police and said, like, surely you recognize too, you even just said it, you're taking on a certain level of risk that if you were just married with one girl,
okay, so let's talk about
having the more girls you're involved with, the more chance you're going to have somebody saying that you raped her, trying to get you're abusive, going to the police, et cetera, et cetera.
A girl did that.
So how do you protect yourself from that?
Okay, so a girl did that. So this was about 5 years ago. I was in England. Very long story short, I had 5 girls in the house. Everyone's working. There was wine in the fridge, unlimited alcohol. Girl gets too drunk, drinks too much. English girl, typical idiot, throws up. I said, clean up. She goes, I don't want to clean. You have a cleaner. I said, cleaner comes tomorrow. It's 7 o'clock on a fucking Friday night. Clean up. You know, I'm not saying how stink a sick. Clean up. She refused to clean up. One rotten apple, right? So I can't have this kind of disrespect. I take her stuff, I throw it out the window from the 6th floor. I take her ass nicely by her arms, take her ass, put her out the door, boom, closed, you're fired. She starts texting me, you owe me money, you owe me money, you owe me money. So I'm not paying you because I had to clean up a bunch of fucking sticks. So I'm not paying you your money. Anyway, 5 months, maybe literally 5 months later, I'm asleep in bed, 5 o'clock in the morning. My door gets kicked in and the police raid my apartment and arrest me for assault. So she went to the police and said I attacked her that night. and I hit her. Now, this is the problem. Look at me on my social media. Look how I talk. Big, strong Andrew. Ooh, the sexist, misogynist, blah, 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 right? So I'm sitting there in the police interview, and these police, 2 women, dykes, are completely convinced that I am guilty. I am absolutely, completely guilty. He's a kickboxer. He's a fucking misogynist. He has a cam business. There is no way this man did not hit this woman. Anyway, turns out every other girl in the house came forward and said she was lying, because she was lying. And I'm saying it right now. She was fucking lying. The girl was lying. I don't hit women because I don't need to. I'm not stupid. Like, for me to hit a girl, I'd have to be some little emotional bitch. The idea that pimps hit women is wrong. That means she has emotional control over me. I'm ice cold. I don't get angry. I will just fire you. Goodbye forever. Oh, I've known you for 7 years. Yeah, we were in love. Well, that was until 3 minutes ago. Goodbye, pack. So that's the game. So I don't hit women. So the other women came forward and said she was lying. But here's the thing. This is actually the reason I moved to Romania. This is why it's not safe for a man to live in the West. This has nothing to do with the cam business. This is to do with just general life. Because after they dropped the case, because the girl admitted she lied under pressure, she admitted she lied, they dropped the case. But when they raided my apartment, they took all my phones and all my laptops, and they found 11 new things to raise charges. So now I have 11 new charges. So they admitted that the first thing they arrested me for, I was innocent of. But now they've gone through my life forensically. Have you ever read the book 3 Felonies a Day? Read the book 3 Felonies a Day.
I'm familiar with yeah.
And he's saying that the legal code in Western countries is so vast and so complicated that even if you live a normal life, even if you just live a completely normal life, you commit 3 felonies a day by just using your phone at the wrong time or taking a call unsolicited or whatever. And the point is, if the police want to stick something on you, they will. So they went through my life forensically when their initial charge dropped. And they thought, this guy has to go to jail. It was personal. They didn't like me. They looked through my phone and saw money, tits, and Lambos. They couldn't stand my ass. And I had to go through 4 years of interviews and court cases. And here I am, a free man, because I made every single lawyer look like a dickhead in the court of law. And I'm not even studied in law, but they're all stupid. And I'm an extremely intelligent person. So I walked out. But the point is, it's not safe to be a man in the Western countries anyway, because forget, this has nothing to do with Cam. She could have been a girlfriend, same scenario. If any of those girls would have turned on me, I'd be in jail. If those girls didn't come forward and say she was lying, I'd be in jail. All those other girls were loyal to me and told the truth. Because I didn't touch her. And she dropped it when they showed her the tape of all the other girls saying she's a lying bitch. But this is why no man's safe to live in a Western society anyway. This is why I decided I had to leave. I don't care how big of a patriarch you think you are in a Western society. Any woman at any time can destroy your life. And you are living in the West accepting that. I refuse to accept that, so I left. And in Romania, it's not perfect, but certainly if I got arrested for some kind of similar thing, they would never bother to go through my entire life forensically and try and stick something on me. They got fucking other shit to do. And that's because here it's a generally patriarchal society, but Western societies are absolutely matriarchal. Females control everything. It's not safe to be a man in the West. And that's why men do exactly like you said. They get married and they sit there with a woman, they get married, and they have kids. But guess what they do about 10 years in? Guess what they do about 10 years in when the sex is stopped and the kids don't respect them and the wife won't touch their dick? I'll tell you what they do. They log on to fucking webcam girls and they pay me because I've seen it. I have seen it. Every single dude on there is fucking married. If they're not lonely, they're just fucking married in the bathroom.
I thought they were incels.
All of them.
Oh, they're married incels.
Yeah, they're just married and their wife's a bitch and they just want a woman to be nice to them. And that's what happens because it's not natural. The whole idea of one man, one woman is not actually the natural human form. We know this. We know the natural human form is a man with multiple women.
But it makes for a better society when the majority of people, I know there are outliers, just like John McAfee. There are outliers. Yeah. But when the majority of people, like the things that attract you to the church, it's because they have certain standards that they live by. That doesn't mean every single person in the church is married to a woman or is, in a nuclear family, as we call it here. No offense to Eastern Europe. Sorry. Okay. So anyway, the point that I'm trying to make is we have a cohesive society because a lot of people have agreed that this is a more right way to live for the good of the many. That doesn't mean every single person has to abide by that lifestyle.
Agreed. And a society is more cohesive, but society is always going to, if you have a group of people, you can only walk as fast as the slowest individual. That's life. Society is designed for idiots. It has to be because there's too many fucking idiots. So you have to design society for a way for morons. I say this all the time. I get the police stopped me the other day. I was driving 210 miles an hour in my Ferrari. He said, "Why you drive so fast?" I was like, "Bro, I've been driving supercars for 15 years. I've never in my life even scraped or crashed." He goes, "Oh yeah, but the limit." I said, "The limit's for the idiots. The limit's for the people who can't drive. The limit's for the women. The limit's for the fucking people who can't drive. I'm me. Of course I drive this fast. It's a Ferrari and I've got world champion reflexes. Of course I'm driving this fast. What would you do?" And he laughed and we had a cigar and he let me go. And the point is that society is absolutely designed for the slowest member. It has to be. So yeah, society is designed for Joe Schmo to find a Joe Schmo wife and be miserable and pay his taxes and barely get laid. That's fine. I refuse to comply. I refuse to live that way because I don't need to.
Then you end up with 30,000 euro fines.
Fine. Take me to jail. I don't care. You think I'm afraid of jail? I don't give a fuck. Let me tell you one more thing. This for anyone listening. Let me tell you something. Every single system in the world is based on complicity. They cannot enforce systems. The IRS cannot enforce you to pay your taxes. The police cannot enforce you to wear a mask. There are not enough enforcers. Everything is based on complicity. If you refuse to comply permanently, you will be amazed how far you can get as an individual. And I mean this. So let me give you an example. My tax affairs are fully in order in Romania because I pay 3%. But when I lived in England, I refused to pay tax. It was 40%. So they started sending me letters and threatening me. You know what you do? You know what most people would do? Reply to the letter, get a clever accountant. Guess what I did? Ignore the letters. Ignore. Then they start sending people around to my house. Where's Andrew? Oh, he's not here. Ignore. There becomes a point where there's a cost-benefit analysis where they sit down and go, we don't know where this guy is. We don't even know how much money he has. We don't know if he's going to pay. He might have left the country. This is a waste of our time. And they give up because everyone's a coward and fills in the form. I don't fill in forms. No, you want my money? Come get it. Come get it.
The official position of sex workers is fill in the form and pay your taxes.
Yeah. If they tell you to live in a pod, live in a pod. If they tell you to eat bugs, eat the bugs. That's
live in
the
your pod,
official
eat your bugs,
position.
work off of your digital girlfriend.
Comply.
And my point is that every system is based on complicity. Imagine if every single person in America on tax file day refused to put it into taxes.
I've made that argument before. Yeah.
What would they do?
Okay. All right. We're going to end it here. We're going to wrap it up. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this stream and hopefully you enjoyed it live because I don't know how long it's going to stay up on the channel. But I want to say big thanks to Andrew again for coming out. Always entertaining. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, friend.
Yeah.
It's been good. It's been
good. You were a lot of fun. You got us thinking. So, and now you can get LP to be a cam girl.
All right. Maybe I'll try my hand at pimping. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll catch y'all later. Peace out.